Hello, everybody. Hi. Happy Friday. I hope you're all going really good. G'day, Lambo. You were first, indeed. Hello, Daz. I'm glad everything's working out for you. Communication is the best. Hi, Keely. It's nice to see you here. We're always lucky to have the Ladies Auxiliary join us. G'day, JP. Nice to see you again this morning. Well, we made it to the end of the week. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time visiting, well, hello there. Thank you so much for stopping by. I very much appreciate you spending your valuable time at my tiny little channel. How is your Friday going? Good, I hope. And if it's not, well, I'm really bummed for you. Hopefully you'll be a bit cheered up by the end of this video. Let's hang out. Let's spend some quality time together as always. And in case anybody out there is wondering why I have an L plate hanging in my background, it's because I'm a learner streamer. I'm not going to take it off until I reach 500 subs. I don't make the rules around here. But thank you and welcome to all my new subs. I really appreciate you because you're taking me closer and closer to getting off my L plates. And that is something that I actually didn't think was going to happen. But anyway, we're edging there. There is some really huge changes coming to my channel next week, and I'm so excited about them, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you be surprised. So I hope you won't miss the old setup, but appreciate it while we've got it because it won't be here next week, unless, of course, something goes horribly wrong, and then I can always just use it as a backup, okay? So today, I thought we might chat about some of the most famous cases of supposedly cursed jewels in history. You know, is it unfortunate coincidences that have been attributed to these like inanimate objects, or is there more to it? You know, I wonder. Hi, Kaz. Cursed earrings. No, they're not that special, I'm afraid. The number one is probably the most famous, but yet probably disappointing stories. I thought it was going to be more of an exciting story. We're talking about the Hope Diamond first. Now, the Hope Diamond is probably the most famous cursed gem of them all. Its tale is usually said to begin with the French merchant traveller Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, who bought the brilliantly blue stone in India sometime before 1668. And a persistent myth says that Tavernier then died after being torn apart by wild dogs. But that's actually not true, I found out. He actually lived into his 80s. Not as an exciting a story, but that's the truth. He travelled around the world and purchased many other famous jewels after the Hope Diamond. Tavernier sold the French blue, as it was known then, to King Louis XIV, and the gem served other French monarchs in a variety of settings. So until the French Revolution, and in September 1792, there was a week-long looting of the French crown jewels, and the French blue disappeared into history. However, a deep blue diamond with very similar characteristics was documented in the possession of London diamond merchant Daniel Ellison in 1812. And according to the Smithsonian, there was strong evidence that indicated that the stone was the recut French blue and the same stone known today as the Hope Diamond. Evidence also suggests that the stone was acquired by King George IV, but sold after his death to repay his massive debts. So the gem next surfaced in the catalogue of London gem collector and banker Henry Philip Hope, but without any information of its provenance. The diamond stayed within the Hope family and then passed through several other private owners before being sold to Pierre Cartier in 1909. Now, Cartier knew the prospective market for such an expensive gem was limited, but he'd had success before selling amazingly pricey gems to the Washington, D.C. socialite and heiress Evelyn Walsh McLean. Now, at first, McLean didn't like the setting that the gem was in, but Cartier changed the design and then McLean purchased the gem. Cartier is said to have been the first to play up the idea of the gem's curse as a selling point, in fact. Now, McLean was more likely to be intrigued by the story than alarmed, because she was famously said to have felt that unlucky objects were lucky for her. So that was probably quite clever of him. Perhaps she shouldn't have been so blasé, though. Things seemed to go well for a while, and McLean threw lavish Find the Hope parties, where she stashed the gem around the house. But then things started to go downhill. Her firstborn son was killed in a car accident. Her husband, Ned, ran off with another woman, destroyed her fortune, and died in a sanitarium from brain atrophy caused by alcoholism. The family newspaper, the Washington Post, went bankrupt, and her daughter died of an overdose of sleeping pills. Is that just life's foibles, though? Aren't rich people plagued by those kind of problems anyway? I don't know. The next year, McLean herself died, and her jewellery collection was sold off to pay the debts of her estate. Harry Winston bought McLean's entire jewellery collection, and in 1958 he donated it to the Smithsonian. The Hope Diamond is now the most popular object in the entire Smithsonian collections, drawing about 7 million visitors a year. For now, the curse seems to have been lifted, if it ever existed in the first place. It was a very clever marketing ploy designed for one particular client. The next one is a little bit spookier. It's the Koh-i-Noor diamond, now part of Queen Elizabeth's crown. The Koh-i-Noor diamond, which is Persian for Mountain of Light, is believed to have been extracted from the Golcondas mine in India, and that is actually the original home of some of the world's most famous gems. Legend has it that the Koh-i-Noor, Mountain of Light, was stolen from Lord Krishna while he slept. And it appears in Mughal chronicles as part of a captured treasure in 1304 and remained with the Mughal emperors until 1739, when Delhi was sacked by the Persians. The Mughal emperor tried to hide the diamond by concealing it in his turban, but trusted the wrong lady. A member of his harem tipped off the Persian Nadir Shah, who ended up with both the turban and the diamond. The Koh-i-Noor remained with the Persian kings despite many bloody attempts to steal it. In 1849, it was handed over to the British East India Company as part of the settlement imposed on the Punjab after the Sikh Wars. When the stone reached Queen Victoria, it had the reputation already of bringing bad luck to its male owners, but luckily for her, not to females. Victoria had it cut from 186 carats, which apparently was much smaller than what it had originally been anyway, to its current 109 carats and set into a tiara. Since 1911, the stone has been placed in coronation crowns of the Queen consorts, thus averting any possible bad luck. Controversy does continue to follow the diamond, though. Pakistan, India, Iran, and even the Taliban have all requested the return of the diamond, but they've all been denied politely. The Koh-i-Noor remains on display in the Tower of London with the rest of the crown jewels, awaiting Camilla's big day, and then we might get to see it again. According to the legend, an inept Venetian gem cutter reduced the stone, which had reportedly started out at close to 800 carats. I don't even know if that's true, but wow, down to 186 carats. When the jewel was placed in an iron case to be transported to England, the voyage didn't go so well. Reportedly, there was an outbreak of cholera on board that caused locals in Mauritius to threaten to fire on the vessel if it didn't leave port. Then a storm raged for 12 hours, and the diamond nearly didn't make it at all because it was left in a waistcoat pocket for 6 months. It was only saved because a servant thought it was made of glass. It eventually made its way to the British Royals, where it stays to this very day. Delhi Purple Sapphire. Don't believe everything you read about the Delhi Purple Sapphire. For one thing, it's not a sapphire but an amethyst, and the curse surrounding it seems to have been the invention of scientist, writer, polymath and Persian scholar Edward Heron Allen. According to the curator of London's Natural History Museum, Heron Allen's daughter donated the gem, mounted in a ring in the form of a snake, to the museum in January 1944. The ring came alongside a letter which claimed the stone was looted from the treasure of the temple of the god Indra at Cawnpore during the Indian Mutiny in 1855 by Colonel W. Ferris of the Bengal Cavalry. From the day he possessed it, he was unfortunate. According to the letter, after Colonel Ferris died, the gem was passed on to his son, then to Heron Allen, who in turn passed it on to friends who suffered what the museum calls a trail of suicides, apparitions, disasters, and failed careers. Heron Allen eventually packaged the stone inside 7 boxes and deposited it with his bankers, instructing them that the gem shouldn't see the light of day until 33 years after his death. His daughter waited less than 12 months before donating it to the museum, and the institution has so far resisted the letter's recommendation to cast it into the sea. The museum scientists think Heron Allen likely fabricated the legend to lend credibility to a short story he'd written in 1921 called The Purple Sapphire. He may even have had the ring created to create credence to the story. The gem is now on display at the museum's vault collections, where it doesn't seem to cause any particular harm to visitors. Next one is quite interesting, and again, very famous. The Star of India. Wow, India must have amazing, gems and things like that. So many have come from India. From a certain angle, it looks more like a sea creature, but the 563-carat Star of India is actually the world's largest known gem quality blue star sapphire. The star inside and the milky appearance of the stone are formed by minuscule fibres from the mineral rutile, which reflect light, and it's a phenomenon known as asterism. So it's pretty special. The gem is said to have been mined under very mysterious circumstances in Sri Lanka 3 centuries ago, but its most famous moment came on the night of October the 29th, 1964, when 3 jewel thieves broke into the American Museum of Natural History and made off with about $410,000 in stolen jewels, and today that would be about $3 million, including the Star of India from the JP Morgan Gem Hall. Now, this is not really their fault. The batteries in the display case alarm had been dead for months. The tops of the hall's windows were open for ventilation, and there was no security guard assigned to the room. The jewels weren't even insured, reportedly because premiums were prohibitive. Fortunately, most of the gems, including the Star of India, were recovered from a Miami Trailways bus terminal locker shortly thereafter. But stories of a curse surrounding the Star of India have remained ever since. The Black Prince's Ruby. This gem is the big, deep red stone set in the middle of England's imperial state crown, the one you've seen in all the coronation photographs. It's not actually a ruby, but a red spinel, and for this reason, it's sometimes called the Great Imposter. It's also linked to some pretty bloody historical events. The stone has belonged to English rulers since the 14th century, when it was given to Edward of Woodstock, also known as the Black Prince. Prior to that, it's said to have belonged to the Sultan of Granada and was found somewhere on or near his corpse by Pedro the Cruel, King of Castile, after he and his men stabbed the Sultan to death during their conquering of the area. Soon after obtaining the gem, Pedro the Cruel's reign was attacked by his half-brother, and he appealed to Edward the Black Prince, a great knight, for help. The pair were victorious, and Edward received the gem in thanks. However, Edward also seems to have contracted a mysterious disease around the same time, which caused his death 9 years later. Yeah, but weren't diseases rampant and cures few and far between back then? You know, yeah, they're not really selling me on the cursed gem idea. Further deaths and mysterious diseases followed, as well as dramatic battles. Henry V is also said to have worn the ruby at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, where he nearly died. Richard III is rumoured to have been wearing it when he died at the Battle of Bosworth. The stone was set into the state crown in the 17th century, but Oliver Cromwell sold it during his brief interruption of the monarchy. The jeweller who bought it sold it back to Charles II after the Restoration. Some say the curse continues, with a fire that threatened the jewellers in 1841 and the German bombs that almost hit the tower during World War II. But for now, the Jewels association with blood and destruction seems to be over. The next one is the Black Orlov. The early history of the Black Orlov diamond is steeped in mystery and likely more than a little fabrication. It seems that way. It is said to have served as the eye of an idol of the god Brahma at a shrine near Pondicherry, India, before being stolen by a monk, a theft that jump-started its curse. Later owners supposedly include 2 Russian princesses who both allegedly jumped off buildings not long after acquiring the gem. One of them was supposedly named Nadia Orlov, which is where the diamond gets its name. You're exactly right, Keely. People are always looking for something to blame or someone blamed. Yeah, exactly. There are interesting stories, though, because people are so funnily superstitious. A diamond dealer named J.W. Paris, who is said to have bought the jewel to the US, reportedly leapt to his death from one of New York's tallest buildings in 1932. But as the diamond scholar Ian Balfour explains in his book Famous Diamonds, there's no evidence of black diamonds ever even being found in India. And even if one was discovered in that country, it's unlikely it would have been prized since, and this is a quote, by and large, black is not considered an auspicious colour among the Hindus. Plus, there was no Russian princesses named Nadia Orlov. They've never existed, but that hasn't stopped the gunmetal-coloured gem from being prized by its owners, notably a New York dealer named Charles F. Winson, who bought the diamond and placed it in a spectacular setting, surrounded by 108 diamonds and dangling from a necklace of 124 other diamonds. And it does look rather beautiful. So it has some worth, obviously. Winson sold the diamond in 1969, and it's been owned by a succession of private individuals since. Black diamond. I'm not even going to say that, Kaz. That's funny. The Sancy Diamond. For some, the pear-shaped Sancy Diamond is believed to be saddled with a vicious curse which brings violent death to anyone who owns the gem. Others say it lends invincibility, provided it was acquired under honest circumstances. The diamond is said to have been mined in Golconda, which we mentioned before, in India, and reached Europe by the 14th century, where it served in the crowns of several French and English kings. Many of these kings, including Burgundy's Charles the Bold, England's Charles I, and France's Louis the 16th, I think, suffered gruesome deaths not long after coming into contact with the gem. The supposed curse even extended to their underlings. According to one legend, a courier who was transporting the gem for Henry IV was robbed and murdered, and the stone recovered from his stomach during autopsy. He had swallowed it for safekeeping. The gem was stolen during the French Revolution, but later recovered and is now on display at the Louvre, where its greatest danger seems to be causing minor injuries resulting from neck craning and tourist jostling. The next one on our list is the Regent. Now, the Regent Diamond is in the Apollo Gallery of the Louvre. Like most of the other gems on this list, it was mined in India in the early 1700s. But in a morbid twist, the gem is supposed to have been stolen from the mine by a slave who hid it in a self-inflicted wound in his leg. That's dedication. He made a pocket. The slave and an English sea captain then planned to smuggle the gem out of the country, but the captain had other ideas. He drowned the slave and sold the jewel himself. But, as the story goes, the slave laid a curse on the gem as he was dying. An English governor in Madras named Thomas Pitt bought the pale blue diamond and sold it to the French regent Philippe II of Orleans in 1717, which is when it received its name. It was stolen alongside the Sancy during the French Revolution, but it was recovered a few months later. The ill-fated Napoleon I later set it in the handle of his sword. Both the sword and the Sancy are now on display at the Louvre. Bye, Kaz. See you later. Oh, you going, or are you just not on tonight? The Lydian Horde. The Lydian Horde is a collection of elaborate jewellery, plates, pots, and other golden pieces, but the brooch and necklace from the Horde have caused its owners nothing but trouble. As part of King Croesus's treasure, the loot dates back to 547 BC, but in 1965 the real trouble began. The treasure was found in an unknown tomb and promptly looted by just about everybody. Over 150 relics were ransacked. Almost all the looters met with sickness, bad luck, and death. Now, this one's interesting. They call it the One Ring to rule them all, and this is said to be the ring that inspired J.R.R. Tolkien to write about the One Ring of Middle-earth in his Lord of the Rings trilogy. This ancient Roman ring bears the inscription in Latin, Senecanus live well in God. That inscription ties it to a Roman tablet inscribed with a curse on any man who stole it. So that's actually pretty interesting. Oh, good. I'm glad you're here. I wanted you to hear the Roman one. I thought that would be interesting for you. Let's have a look at what you're all saying. It's true. Like, it's weird, isn't it? Your family jewels are cursed. They always lead to divorce. Come on now. Come on, JP. Kaz isn't transitioning. You guys are so funny. A burger ring? My precious. Exactly. That is so funny. I actually thought I saw someone in the comments there who I hadn't seen before. And if I did, hello, welcome. Join in, say good day. I'm sure everyone here will make you feel welcome. Here's some more interesting, just little jewelry superstitions, right, that you might find interesting. In medieval times, people believed that pearls were unlucky because they represent tears. Diamonds, however, were considered great luck because they were thought to have the power to drive away witches and also prevent the wearer from ever going insane. Hence why wearing pearls instead of diamonds on your wedding day would be thought to predict an unhappy marriage. So, oh, thanks, Kaz. I brushed it. Didn't do anything to it. G'day, Rob Ken. It's nice to see you. Apparently, silver earrings, which I actually have on today, keep bad spirits out. Wearing a pair of silver earrings was once thought to keep the devil away. Silver earrings were used to prevent evil spirits entering the body through your orifices. Good grief. So think about all the devils that you are keeping out of your body next time you're wearing a simple pair of earrings. Now, there's a lot of rules that go along with wearing rings. It's considered bad luck if a woman removes her engagement ring before the wedding for fear that the wedding may not actually happen. Also, you're not supposed to let another woman try your ring on unless you want her to steal your man. So, conversely, it is considered very bad luck for a single woman to wear a ring on her engagement finger, as it might curse her to being single forever. Come on, Cass. Silver bullets in case you ever see a werewolf. I'm glad you've got all bases covered there. Yeah, I seen Rob. It's nice to when you can catch up with us, Rob. It's always good. So what do you think of cursed jewellery? Do you think it's just been sort of made up to give things a really good story? I think maybe it has, to add mystery. And also we've got to remember that it was some of these jewels are coming from sort of before the age of reason, when there was like cholera on a ship. Come on now, we've looked enough at convict history to know how common it was for people to get sick on those ships. I don't know that you can, and greed is a kind of a curse in itself. So anyway, let's have a Captain Cook at the news today. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. Japan is pushing ahead with plans for the Tokyo Olympics despite public concern. 10,000 volunteers have dropped out of the Tokyo Olympics in just 50 days. So 50 days to go until the opening of the Olympics. 10,000 out of the 80,000 unpaid volunteers for the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics have told organisers they will not participate when the Games are due to open on July the 23rd. Tokyo expects 15,000 athletes from about 200 countries and thousands of coaches, officials and journalists. This has some Japanese concerned that when the thousands of people return back to their countries, Japan will be left with another outbreak, which I believe they've handled really well, and it would be a shame to see it flare up. Today, a small explosion? What the heck? Oh, hang on a second. Sorry, guys. I'll have to call you back. Bye. Sorry, everyone. Okay, and it wasn't Kaz. On the 4th of June in history, in 1629, Dutch East India ship, the Batavia, wrecked on Morning Reef off Western Australia with 200 survivors. Only 70 survived after 3 months due to mutiny and murders. I actually have a video coming up on the Batavia because it was requested by Stephen Webb and JP. So I have one of those coming up very soon. That's a really interesting story. You're going to love it. In 1824, the first free press without government approval was founded in Australia. The Hobart Town Gazette was started by ex-convict Andrew Bent. In 1913, on this day, English suffragette Emily Davison dies after throwing herself in front of King George V's horse, Amna, during the running of the Derby at Epsom. Now, there is some controversy about whether Miss Davison intended to kill herself or just grab a flag from the horse, as she had been actually seen practicing grabbing flags from moving horses for some time before the stunt. So it seems that it was probably just a publicity stunt gone horribly wrong that's been widely misinterpreted by history. My pick for 3 historical characters to spend an evening with are today. Hi, Rose. It was actually Rose who tried to ring me. The venerable English jeweller William Asprey, who established Asprey in 1781. Benvenuto Cellini was an Italian sculptor and goldsmith who lived from 1500 to 1571. And Gustave Fabergé, I'm sure you've all heard of Fabergé eggs. Fabergé was a preeminent Russian jewellery firm famous for its objects d'art and in particular its enamelling. So they would be 3 famous jewellers I would have an evening with today. Yeah, exactly, Kaz. There's actually quite a few of them. I'm glad you're here, Rose. Oh, did you have a bad night? All right, I'll talk to you very soon anyway, Rose. There is big changes coming to my channel next week. Thanks, as always, to my dear friend Kaz for helping me so much that I could actually never verbalise everything he has done for me. So thank you so much, Kaz. So it's going to be a very exciting week next week. And as always, it has been wonderful to share a small smoko with you all. Please leave a thumbs up below the screen and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to ding my little bell for notifications of all my future uploads. And please consider sharing this so we can grow this great community into a bigger one. And I can reach 500 subs and finally get off my L plates. So I hope you're excited for next week. It's going to be totally different. Goodbye, old set. I hope you won't miss it. Thank you so much for watching. Say good day in the comments. Suggest a subject or for a future video. And I hope you can join me at 9:30 a.m. on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Be good, everyone, especially you, Daz. Love and kisses, everyone. Bye. See you later.